If the United States had not experienced the Civil War, the trajectory of its history would have been fundamentally altered in several significant ways. Political and territorial expansion. Westward expansion. The absence of the Civil War could have potentially accelerated westward expansion without the interruption caused by conflict. This might have led to quicker settlement of the Western territories and states joining the Union. Territorial disputes. Issues related to the expansion of slavery into new territories, such as the Missouri Compromise and the Kansas-Nebraska Act, might have been resolved differently through political negotiations rather than through armed conflict. Economic development. Industrial growth. The North's industrialization would likely have continued to flourish without the diversion of resources and manpower to war efforts. Economic development, particularly in manufacturing and infrastructure, might have been more rapid. Agricultural practices. Southern agriculture, particularly cotton production reliant on slave labor, might have evolved differently. Economic shifts could have occurred gradually, influenced by changing labor dynamics and market forces. Social and cultural dynamics. Slavery and civil rights. The status of slavery would have been a contentious issue. The gradual abolition or transformation of slavery could have occurred through political compromises rather than the Emancipation Proclamation and the subsequent Reconstruction era. Cultural identity. Without the divisive impact of the Civil War, the cultural and regional identities of North and South might have diverged less sharply. This could have influenced perceptions of national unity and identity. Political landscape. Federal versus state powers. The balance of power between federal and state governments might have been more centralized or decentralized depending on how conflicts over states' rights and federal authority were resolved through political means. Presidential leadership. The absence of war could have affected the presidency differently. The presidents during and after the Civil War, such as Lincoln and Johnson, played pivotal roles in shaping national policy and reconciliation efforts. International influence. Foreign relations. The international perception of the United States, particularly regarding its commitment to democratic principles and unity, might have been different without the stain of a civil conflict. Manifest destiny. The idea of manifest destiny, the belief in the inevitable expansion of the United States across North America, might have been interpreted and pursued differently in the absence of the Civil War's influence. Long-term implications. Social justice movements. The timeline and nature of social justice movements, including civil rights and labor rights, might have unfolded differently, potentially impacting the pace and nature of reforms. Historical memory. How the United States remembers and interprets its history, particularly regarding issues of slavery, race relations, and national unity, would likely have been shaped by different historical events and narratives. In conclusion, the absence of the Civil War would have altered the United States' historical development in profound ways, affecting its economy, politics, social structure, and cultural identity. The resolutions of issues related to slavery, federalism, and westward expansion would have been different, potentially leading to a different trajectory for the nation as a whole.